everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 29th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 2023 live feeds. It was day 84 in the house, the day before the final day, as you might see in Majora's Mask. And we got a couple of things to update you on here today for what happened yesterday in terms of what we're gonna see heading into the finale tonight. That's it. It's over. But I'm also going to be going through Big D's game across the entire season. So I mean, you don't want to miss this. Best social game of all time, perhaps. Mastermind of the greatest alliance of all time. I know this is the one everyone has been waiting for. So let's get into to Big D's game once we get through the extraordinary play that he had yesterday here on the feeds. So here we are in the final three, day 84. Azza has won part one of the final three HOH. Xavier won part one of the final three HOH. Azza won part two of the final three HOH. It was looking like it was going to be Azza versus Xavier for $750,000. And instead, it started to look like it was going to be Azza versus Xavier for whether Big D would get $75,000, where Xavier will just get the $750,000. So Azza, after having been talked down to by Big D for a very long time now, has finally decided that she is done with it. The one time that it would benefit her to be loyal to Big D, she doesn't want to. So she's going to start the day talking to Xavier. Now, she told Big D the day before that she wasn't going to take him. He dropped some big guilt trips on her, talked about how she's doing this for a man, and how it's going to look and all of that stuff. So she opens the day talking to Xavier, and she says she is having some trouble because when she came in, she talked about having trouble with making decisions when it comes to men. And now, look at what's happening. Xavier says, am I missing something? Is Big D not a man? Last time we checked, we both had penises. He says, I just don't get the entitlement from Big D. Like, we've all done stuff to get here. I was lying and manipulating. But I didn't complain about it. I didn't act entitled to be here. I just did what I needed to do. I just don't understand why, Azza, you and I can't just be friends just because we're attracted to each other. Just because we have an attraction means we can't be great friends, Azza. I haven't even done anything to try to get you to take me to the final two. So, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, this is why Xavier doesn't try very hard. He's not very good at it. Azza is going to talk to Big D afterwards, and she's feeling a bit more conflicted. I think especially after that Xavier talk, which was very weird. She says, look, I am thinking, I don't know. I just feel like it would be, I do think that you're going to get America's favorite player. And so if it wasn't for that, maybe it would be a different story, maybe. And he says, you don't know that. And look, I just can't even imagine Brittany. Can you imagine Brittany's face when she finds out that you sent me home? Can you imagine? It's just really hard. It's going to be so hard to get over this. It's going to be so hard to get over this. Oh my God. I really wanted a woman to win the game, and I feel like you're just not fighting for the cause of women, and it's really upsetting. We'll talk about Big D and women winning the game. She says, Big D, when I asked who you would sit next to, You said Xavier. You wanted to sit next to Xavier. And it wasn't about deals. It wasn't about anything like that. It was about who you wanted to be in the end with. And you said Xavier. He's like, oh, I didn't hear that part. Oh no, well, no, of course I want to sit next to you. Of course I would have picked you. I just didn't hear the part about the no deals. That's all. He says, I just don't get it as a game player, as a game move. This makes no sense. Azza says, Big D, if I cared about the game, I wouldn't have taken Hannah out of the game. I would have kept her. I don't care about the game. It's like, Azza, I don't get why you're not fighting for your sisters. And I don't want to take it there, but I just don't get it. Giving up the game for a man. That's going to continue to go on, and it keeps coming back to Big D saying that he wanted to be in the end with Xavier. What kind of idiot would Azza be if she took Big D to the end when he doesn't even want to be there with her? So the day progresses. She tells Big D a little bit later, she says, yesterday I was like 70-30. Today I'm more like 55-45. I am kind of turning around on this. And maybe I will take you. I'm not sure. She's going back and forth. She goes to Xavier and she tells Xavier, I'm going back and forth on this. I'm having a really hard time. And she says, okay, what about this, Xavier? How about this? What if we go to Big D and we tell him that he needs to choose who he would like to sit next to in the final two, and then that person will take him. How about that? So basically, like, no deals, no friendships, no nothing. Who does he want to sit next to in the final two? And then whoever he chooses, when that person wins, they will take him, and the other person won't. And Xavier's like, yeah, no, I don't feel like that's a good idea personally. I feel like we should not do that, actually. I feel like that's no, would be my response. And Oz is like, I don't know, I like this idea. I think this is what we should do. And he's like, but what about not doing it, actually? He's really trying to talk her out of this idea, but she's locked in. He says, okay, well, look, at the end of the day, for me, it's always been about having to win part 3. So do what you want to do, Azza. She's like, okay. So that's Azza's plan. But in the meantime, Big D is gonna come up with pitches. He wants to pitch to both Xavier and Azza. They're his final pitches. To plant those seeds, Mastermind Big D. He goes to Xavier. He says, I want to make a pitch to both of you. Here's my pitch to you. Xavier says, you don't need to make a pitch to me. He says, yeah, but I really want to. He's like, but seriously, don't make a pitch to me. It's a waste of your time and my time. Please don't make a pitch to me. And Xavier's like, and Big D's like, yeah, but I really want to. He's like, okay. Big D says, look, I'm here. I'm fighting for my mom. Xavier's like, I stay away from that. Big D, don't you remember how we felt when Tiffany brought up her daughter? He's like, oh, yeah. Well, look, I still want to duke it out like... Hold on, Xavier. Hold on. Tiffany doesn't have a daughter, dude. Oh, boy. Anyway. Big D says, I mean, this is your wonderful social game, Xavier. This is Xavier's top tier social game. Is that, man, remember when Tiffany just constantly talked about her daughter so much that I remember it very vividly that she talked about her daughter? Oh boy. Big D says, I want to duke it out like gentlemen still, and I've never been selfish this whole entire game, Xavier. Xavier's like, sold. He's like, I've just done so much to sacrifice to be here. I've done so much. And Xavier's like, I'm sold. Like, okay. So Big D goes to Azza and he says, okay, I'm going to give you my pitch too. I just gave Xavier my pitch. And she's like, why'd you give Xavier your pitch? He's like, I'm pitching to both of you. He says, look, I've been with you since the beginning. The laughs, the tears. I hope my resume shows that I have been loyal to you and I have kept all of my words. I'm glad I had an opportunity to make a friend in here. And I hope that you take me, but I'm not. But you can do what you are going to do. And she says, I just don't understand why you made a pitch to both of us. Why are you making you shouldn't be making a pitch to both of us. He didn't even need to make a pitch to Xavier. Xavier told him not to, but he did it anyway. And then he told Azza about it, and now she's upset. She thinks that he should have to choose. He shouldn't be pitching to both of them. He should be picking one of them and pitching to them, because if she was in his position, she would only be pitching to him. And this is very upsetting. And now she's starting to feel, I don't know about this anymore. And just like that, Big D has once again talked his way out of second place. And so that's where the day mostly stands. Azza is going to, they're going to go to bed. Azza's going to wake Xavier up in the middle of the night. Not the middle of the night. They were only, recently gone to bed. But she wakes Xavier up. She says, Xavier, I've come to an epiphany. This whole time, Big D keeps saying that if I go against him, I win. But I don't think that's true. From a game decision, it actually makes sense for me to take you, Xavier. I just realized it. And he's like, what? Yeah, definitely. I agree. For sure. Yeah. So that was the day. We'll see what happens today on the feeds prior to the finale, but there tends to be, rehearsals and stuff. So it seems like, to me, Azza is pretty locked in to take Xavier. And if she wins, that means that Big D may get third place after all. If Xavier wins, he will still get second place. But we'll see. We'll see about that. That was the day yesterday, but let's rewind. How did Big D get here? How did Big D go from guaranteed second place to maybe not even second place? How did he even get to the final three? What is he talking about when he says that he has played so hard and done so much? Let's talk through it. Let's talk through it all. Let's talk about Big D's Big Brother 23 game. Rewind back to week 1. Here's Big D. He comes into the game. He talks about how he knows he's probably not going to win many competitions. He wants people to underestimate him. He wants to play into like, hey, I'm just Big D. So when he enters the game, he lands on the Jokers, and Frenchie wins the first HOH. He is safe on the Joker's team with Frenchie as the HOH. He immediately makes a final 2 with Frenchie. They're going to be the new Derek and Cody. Boom. Nobody will suspect it. He also takes a look around at the house, and he says, hey, Cookout. Well, he doesn't name it the Cookout, but he says, hey, we should look out for each other. The black people in the house. He does not include Hannah initially. That's going to come later. But the Cookout is formed. He's also going to make a final 2 here in day 1 with Alyssa. He says nobody will suspect it. He's also going to very soon make a final 2 with Christian. He says Guess what? Nobody will suspect it. He also bonds a lot with Azza, of course, and with Brittany, the other members of his team. And he is going to start to develop relationships with Kyland and Xavier and other members of the Butchers and the Slaughterhouse as Frenchie begins to make tons of alliances and plans and variations of the Slaughterhouse. All of these things that we've done. He has the eulogy plan. He's got all of this stuff. He eventually, we've talked about this before, but lands on Derek X as a scapegoat for wanting Christian out, which of course was Brent's idea. But when Christian wins that wildcard competition, it all kinds of falls on Derek X. And of course, he continues to form these variations of the Butchers, one of which includes Christian and Big D. Then all of this stuff happens with Derek X, where he gets confronted by Frenchie about all of the things that he did, and he admits to things that he didn't even do. And then he gets mad at Kyland for being close to Derek X and theoretically a part of all this nonsense. And while all of this is happening, Big D is he's hanging around, and he comes up with his idea. You know what? Big D's like, this is not. I don't like this. But Frenchie's all about he won't take out a woman, and that means the man is going to go home, and that's no good, says Big D. Big D says a guy should not go. Whitney should go. He goes to Alyssa. He says, "I think Whitney should go." She's like, "I'm on the block." He goes to Christian. He says, "I really think Whitney should go." And Christian's like, "I don't think so." He goes to Frenchie and he says, "I think Whitney should go." And Frenchie says, "No, we like Whitney. She's working with us." He's like, "Oh." And then he goes to them and he says, "What about next week? I feel like Whitney should go next week." And they all say, "No." Okay. Well, a woman has to go next week, for sure. Okay? Tiffany says that we need to include Hannah in the cookout. So Hannah is involved, not an official part of it yet, but later will be. Frenchie is going to clear the air with Derek X and Travis. This is, of course, again, he ends up nominating Alyssa and Kyland. Kyland as the pawn, Alyssa as the bait. And Big D is, again, not really too involved here. Once Frenchie connects with Brent, he kind of pushes Big D to the side. Brent is his new showmance, as they talk about constantly. Derek X wins the veto. Brent encourages Travis to be the replacement nominee. And Brent also encourages Derek X to use the veto on Kyland. Frenchie and Christian make a final two themselves. Now, Christian ends up telling Frenchie about his final two with Big D, and they both talk about Big D, that they had initially bonded with Big D, but he's so negative. So negative. He's talking about women. And so they're not as high on Big D as they were before, and they don't really, not really as big a fan of him as they had once been. So Frenchie is, of course, going to change his mind and want Kyland out for a little while, but it doesn't matter. And then all of this stuff. When Frenchie confronts Kyland and says he popped off, and then he goes to Xavier and says, "Are you threatening me?" Big D starts to get concerned for Frenchie's safety, and he starts running around to people saying, "We have to protect Frenchie." But eventually, Derek X uses the veto on Kyland, and Travis ends up going up on the block. Christian and Alyssa are going to talk about how they maybe we can work with Big D. They both have final twos with him, so they're like, okay, let's try and work with Big D here. Christian tells Big D that Xavier and Kyland have to be the first out of the slaughterhouse. that they are the people that he is taking a big look at right now. That Frenchie doesn't trust Xavier, neither does Christian, and they think that Xavier should probably be one of the first to go. Tiffany tells Big D that she thinks that Derek X should stick around and go after Frenchie because Frenchie is the person that needs to go next. And this is the moment for Big D with one of them, at least with Tiffany. He is not a fan of this. He's not a fan of this. How dare you target Frenchie, Tiffany? After this, he goes to Xavier and he says, I'm worried about an all-women's alliance. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep Tiffany and Azza for too long in this game. I don't know. This is Xavier agrees. He says, well, hopefully they can last a little bit longer. Big D is also going to pitch to Xavier that he wants to throw a rogue vote. And Xavier says, that's a bad idea. Don't do that, please. Big D also is going to tell Alyssa that he wants to throw a rogue vote. She also says, I don't think that's a good idea, please. Don't do that, please. I don't know if you realize this, but I happen to be on the block. You're saying you want to vote me out? Yeah, please don't, dude. Frenchie is going to create French kisses, and then he's going to rat it out. Azza rats it out to Big D first. And when Azza tells Big D about the French Kisses Alliance, he says, oh, no, don't do that. Don't work with the women. That will ruin your game. Don't do that. So Travis is voted out. Big D does cast a rogue vote after all. And surprise, surprise, everyone suspects that it was him because he told a bunch of people about it. And then afterward said, you know what? I'll take the blame. Even though it wasn't me, I'll take the blame for it. So there you go. Kyland is going to win the week 2 HOH, and Big D is concerned for Frenchie's safety here, so he encourages Frenchie to compete in the wildcard competition. This is when Tiffany, Claire, and DX figure out the slaughterhouse, and they end up creating what will eventually be the Royal Flush. Christian and Alyssa are now fully out on Big D. They'd already thought he was negative, but now he did this rogue vote thing that they're very skeptical about. And so they do not want to work with Big D at all. Those final twos are, gone. Sarah Beth is going to win the wildcard competition. And Frenchie goes, F the slaughterhouse. SB tells the Kings that Frenchie ratted out the slaughterhouse to her, which was a lie. She gets the Kings on board. Tiffany tells Christian he can't be a king if he works with that side. He's got to work with this side. Kylan nominates Frenchie and Brittany. The slaughterhouse crumbles. DX is exonerated, and Big D is pissed that Frenchie is on the block. He ends up getting into it with Tiffany, who he blames for getting Frenchie on the block, and they talk about how Tiffany says that he is making her out to be an angry black woman, and he is never going to forgive her for feeling that way. He tries to pitch to Kyland that the Cookout needs Frenchie in the game. We need Frenchie in the game, the Cookout. If we don't have Frenchie, then we lose, Kyland. And why is Derek X off the radar all of a sudden? What's going on with that? Well, Derek X wins the veto. And Frenchie comes up with a plan to get Brent out instead of himself. So Big D is going to help pitch this plan. Let's get the veto used on Frenchie and get Brent out instead. He tries pitching it to Christian. He says, we need to regroup the slaughterhouse. Christian isn't having it. Tiffany's gotten to him. He tries pitching to Brent. He says, hey, Brent, you were on board with me before. We got to get these women out, remember? Like Tiffany. Tiffany has got to go. Did you see what she said to me about being an angry black woman? She's trying to get Frenchie out. She's got to go, Brent. And Brent agrees. He's like, I agree. The women have to go. Maybe not Tiffany, but the women have to go. I agree. But what are we going to do? We can't save Frenchie. He tells he's working with Azza is on board to try to get Brent out, but it's not working. Big D is going to commiserate with Frenchie, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. So what could have been? We were going to be better than Derek and Cody. Big D is going to make a final 2 with Kyland, an official one, and he says that Kyland is his new crush now that Frenchie is going to be leaving. He says that he wants to go to the final 3. He tells Kai he wants to go to the final 3 with Kai and Xavier, but they need to get more women out. Brent can't be the next one to go. They need to get more women out next, and Kyland agrees. Big D is also going to pitch this final 3 to Xavier, who is like, cool. Big D learns from Azza that the jury is 9 people and not 7. So that's good. Brittany tells Big D that she wants to go after Hannah. Big D says, no, not Hannah. Worry about Whitney. But she doesn't. The Royal Flush is officially formed, as is the Mafia. And Amra's that, you know what? I'm down to bring Big D to the final 2. I'm cool with that. Frenchie is then evicted, and we head into week 3. Where Xavier wins the HOH. Now, the plan was for everyone to throw it to the Kings, of course. Big D is filled in on the plan for the week, that the plan is to target Brent. And Big D says, no! What are you talking about? Brent should not be the target. It needs to be Whitney. And they're like, no, dude, sorry, it's Brent. He's like, but the women! Oh, guys, with the jury and the women. We need to get Whitney or Claire next week, or that's it. Tiffany and Kyland, of course, are going to solidify their final 2 at this point. I'm leaving out a lot of the extra details. You've heard them in the previous 2 recaps. Xavier asks Derek X to throw the wildcard competition. Big D is going to go to Brittany, and he's going to tell Brittany, hey, Brittany, a woman needs to go next. We really need to get a woman out next. We got to make it happen. And Brittany's like, okay. He goes to Azza, and he says, Azza, we need to get the cookout together because we all need to agree that a woman needs to go next, okay? And Azza is like, okay. And he's like, yeah, the 6 of us. And she's like, no, the 5 of us. It's like, whatever, as long as a woman goes. He tells Xavier, hey, Xavier, what are you doing? Why are you taking out a man? You should be taking a woman out of the game. Tiffany ends up winning the wild card competition, which upsets Azza, and Big D jumps on the back of that and helps complain about Tiffany with Azza. Xavier then does nominate Brent and Brittany. Christian ends up winning the veto, and he is not going to use it, of course. This is when Tiffany starts pulling Hannah in, and Derek X starts getting people to go after Xavier. The aces are coming for the Kings. The detectives are formed, of course, and then the momentum is building against Xavier and the Kings and Christian and everything. But and Tiffany and Kyland are starting to wonder if they should go their own way with Azza and Big D acting up and not agreeing with what they're doing, and it's looking like they're not going to get along very well. They're thinking about just going their own way, letting them target Xavier, and letting this happen. But Tiffany wakes up after having a dream. She can't go against the cookout. She's decided on a different path. She thinks that with a new master plan, they can get all 6 of the cookout to the final 6. And of course, this is the moment where it all happens. She pitches it to Azza and Big D, and Big D's like, I already knew that. We already were going to do that anyway. So what is she even talking about? Big D ends up ruining the Brent blindside and becomes dead to me at this point. And then Brent is voted out. We head into week 4. Christian wins the HOH. Now, the plan is to target Hannah. And this is dangerous because it could expose the cookout. So they're trying to, and again, we talked about this with the Xavier one. This is Xavier's fault. Claire ends up winning the wildcard competition, and Christian has a meeting with the Jokers where they try to encourage him to target Whitney. Big D says, you know who I would target? That blonde one. if you're catching what I'm putting down here. He also talks to Christian one-on-one, and he says, it's that like he got it, Whitney. After the conversation with the Jokers, Christian goes, "Yeah, that just convinced me I really don't want to target Whitney. Because if they're going after Whitney, why would I do their work for them? Now I definitely want to target Hannah." It's not until Hannah comes in and talks to Christian and Alyssa that they change their minds and they decide they want to target Whitney instead because they have a better relationship with Hannah. Then Big D talks to Christian again and he says, "Listen, Christian, the thing about Whitney is that she's all for the women. She's got to go." And Christian's like, "All right, yeah, that I agree." It's like, Big D's like, "Look at me. Look at me making things happen. I just got Whitney to be targeted by Christian. All right. I am masterminding this game. Okay." Hannah is going to be ratted out here by Alyssa. Alyssa tells Big D that Hannah told her that Big D would put her and Christian on the block. And Big D says, "Are you kidding me? Here I am masterminding this game, saving Hannah's life. And, before I came into this game, I looked on Big Brother Twitter and I looked on Big Brother Reddit, and they were all saying how the women really need to stick together this season. So that's why I'm scared of these women. They're just, they got to stick together, and we gotta not let them stick together." Xavier and then Hannah work on convincing Big D to target Sarah Beth instead of Hannah. Not instead of Hannah, but instead of whatever else he's doing. Tiffany has convinced Xavier to target Sarah Beth. Tiffany and Hannah are working more closely together. They're trying to both target Sarah Beth, and so they get Big D on board to target Sarah Beth as well. Tiffany is not going to really be doing this herself because Big D doesn't care for Tiffany. Now, Tiffany has convinced a lot of people to go after Sarah Beth at this point, but Kyland ends up flipping Derek X to target Christian. Big D tells Azah and Brittany that he wants Sarah Beth out next, but he still wants to use Hannah as a pawn. They say, "No, don't do that." And he says, "You don't understand, guys. A woman needs to leave. You guys just don't get it because you're women." Claire starts talking about how they should take Big D out. He starts to be targeted by Claire. Yeah, he needs to go out sooner than later because if he doesn't, he's going to take up a spot in the final two. Maybe. So Whitney is going to be voted out, and we head into week 5 where Derek X wins HOH. And Big D goes, "Oh no, I'm going to be nominated now. I'm going to be nominated. Fine, that's it. It's whatever. Frenchie was HOH. It's then Kylan and Xavier. It's only by my amazing social game that I didn't get put up by Christian. But now that DX is HOH, I'm gonna go up on the block. This is ridiculous." Alyssa and Christian let Derek X know that Big D has been saying his name, so maybe these fears are not unwarranted. Derek X asks Big D if he said his name. He's like, "What? I don't remember exactly." Derek X asks Big D if he's willing to be a pawn, and Big D says, "I am willing to be a pawn, but I will tell you this. I don't think a guy pawn is smart. Only a girl pawn would be smart. That's just my 2 cents." And this is perhaps Big D's most effective moment in the game because he does, at this point, Derek X is looking to target Christian, and he's trying to figure out who should go up as pawns in preparation for that. He cycles through first Azah, who says no, and he then goes to Big D, who says yes, but it should be a girl pawn. And then he goes to Brittany, who says yes. And so he's like, "All right, I guess I'm going to do Brittany." So, girl pawn was smarter. There you go, Big D. Derek X nominates Brittany and Sarah Beth. And Big D wants to go after Derek X now. He's too good at competitions. Brittany ends up winning the veto, And when X complains to Big D about Christian leaving, Big D says, "What? No, Christian should leave, and Alyssa should follow him right out the door." So Christian gets backdoored. Tiffany is annoyed that the Jokers aren't owning up to their Christian votes because it's making things harder for her, so they get into a confrontation. Big D is pissed again at Tiffany, and he threatens to blow up the whole cookout. He says, "F the cookout, I'm out of here." And Ozza has to talk him down. Tiffany tries to flip the vote. X approaches Big D and tries to convince him to go along with it, and Big D says, "No, Xavier, you have to lose your person, all right?" Tiffany thinks they can get Brittany, but when Christian goes to grab Brittany, Big D and Ozza follow her upstairs and prevent anything from happening. They say, "We are not down for this. Christian needs to leave." Xavier and Tiffany both mutually agree that they can't flip this vote anymore if Ozza and Big D are so adamantly opposed because it would break up the cookout. I've seen a lot of people say that this was primarily Xavier, but it was not. It was a mutual decision based on the work that Big D did. Big D shut this down more than anyone else here with the Christian vote. So you can give him that credit as well, to a degree. But Derek X and Claire agree that Xavier and Big D are the two people that they plan to target going into next week. If Claire wins this HOH, Big D and Xavier are going up on the block next to each other. So Christian is voted out. And we head into week 6 where Kyland wins the HOH, but he wasn't supposed to, and the rest of the cookout is pretty upset about it. Big D wants Kyland to put Sarah Beth up on the block. Kyland says, "I will consider it." But when Big D stays up late with Kyland, Kyland convinces Big D that he should be a pawn, and Big D agrees he's willing to be a pawn. Kyland ends up nominating Claire and Big D because he wants to appease Xavier for now, but the target is still Alyssa. Big D not successful in getting Kyland to target Sarah Beth. Big D wants Sarah Beth gone. By the way, he's still wanted Sarah Beth gone for a while, likely for somewhat similar reasons as Tiffany. Big D ends up getting $100 in the high roller twist. He ends up playing in the thing, and he places a bet on Brittany in the veto competition. Big D is only comfortable on the block next to Alyssa and Sarah Beth, is what he tells Kyland. But Kyland tells him, based on the big BB bucks, he's changed his target from Alyssa to Brittany, and he wants Brittany gone. And Big D says, "No! What about Derek X? What about Sarah Beth?" And Kyland says, "Sorry, bro." So Alyssa ends up winning the veto when Kyland throws it to her. Big D tries to convince Kyland to put up Derek X instead of Brittany, but it goes nowhere. Kyland and Big D lament about the women of the alliance causing so much drama. Oh, this would be so much easier if there wasn't just so much drama in this alliance. And Big D says, "We can say it. It's the women. It's the women of the group that cause all this drama." Big D tells Ozza that he is falling on his sword for her this week, that she was supposed to go up on the block, but he has volunteered for it instead to protect her, and he is keeping her in the dark about certain things because for her own protection. This is one of the primary weeks where Big D is going to now in week, whatever, final 3. He is going to claim that he protected Ozza and that she doesn't know half the things he did in the game, and that he dragged her to the end. He feels like that is the case because of this week when Kyland convinced him to be a pawn for him. And he keeps her in the dark. He almost seems to enjoy, at least from my perspective, the over the top manipulation of his friends here, as he knows that Brittany is now going up, but he's acting like he is doing Ozza a favor. He tells Ozza that he wants a woman to win this game. He wants to fall on his sword for a woman. He really feels like it's important that a woman wins this game. It's a very important cause for him. Alyssa uses the veto on Claire, and Brittany goes up on the block. Big D is upset. He says, "Alyssa, why didn't you use the veto on me? After everything I've done for you, Alyssa? After everything I've done for you in this game, don't you remember that we once had a final 2? He says this to Ozza, and Ozza says, "Dude, you voted Christian out. She doesn't owe you anything." It's like, but still. Claire and Derek X try to flip the vote on Big D, but Tiffany shuts it down. Big D is never going to forgive Claire or Derek X for this, but primarily Claire. Ozza asks if Big D, because of course the woman has to be blamed most. Ozza asks if Big D has a final two with Xavier, to which he says, "Yes, I do." She asks if she can I get in on that final three? And he says, "I'll ask Xavier." He goes to Xavier, and Xavier says, "No, she's late. She's late to this. Spot is already taken. Sorry." But Big D tells Ozza, like, yeah, you're good. Don't worry about it. Big D and Tiffany then have a big fight in the storage room, rehashing what happened the previous week with the Christian flip and the bodyguard situation, where Big D feels again like she is being an angry black woman. Brittany's voted out, and we head into week 7, where Sarah Beth wins the HOH. She wants to nominate Xavier and Alyssa, but it's not gonna come into play here. Big D pretends he only got $50, and he's like, nobody understands how good I am at this game, that they all think that I'm only getting $50, as if I would only get $50. Can't believe they're buying this. I'm obviously a fan favorite, getting $100. Nobody believes that he only got $50. Kai stays up all night with Sarah Beth to convince her to target Derek X and use Claire as a pawn, so she nominates Claire and Big D. Hannah helps convince Derek X not to play in the roulette. Alyssa wins, and she takes Big D down. X goes up in his place. X wins the veto, and people start joking about how Big D thinks he's running the game. His game has become a joke to the rest of the house. Derek X is then going to go up on the block, and after Derek pitches to him, Big D actually does consider taking Derek X and getting rid of Claire, primarily because he blames Claire more for the vote flip situation the previous week than he does Derek X. He tries pitching to Kylan that they should take Claire out of the game, but Kylan says no. So it doesn't go through. Big D ends up coming up with this elaborate plan to convince everyone that Hannah and Tiffany have more BB bucks than they think, so that when he uses his BB bucks to win the coin of destiny, and uses it to target Sarah Beth, she won't know it was him. He, at this time, thinks he'll be the only one that will be able to afford it, and he wants to target Sarah Beth with it. So he's trying to get even Tiffany and Hannah on board with pretending that they have enough money to afford it so that he won't be blamed for it. But, of course, everybody sees through this. Derek X is then voted out, and we head into week 8, where Tiffany wins the HOH. She nominates Sarah Beth and Kylan. Hannah comes up with a plan to get Claire to get the coin of destiny. So Claire does get the coin of destiny because Big D is the only other person who can afford it at this point. He throws the competition. He says he could have won it, and maybe he could have. Maybe this could have been his one win, but he throws it. Claire gets the coin of destiny. She nominates Sarah Beth and Kylan as well. Xavier goes up as the third nominee. Hannah wins the veto. She uses it on Xavier. Tiffany and Hannah start plotting to evict Big D first once they get to the 6. Big D, of course, wants Tiffany out at 6, and Sarah Beth is voted out, and we head into week 9. And we're speeding through this because Big D is doing very little to affect the outcome of the game at this point. Week 9, Tiffany wins the HOH again. Xavier is pissed, and Big D is pissed because he's always pissed at Tiffany. That just cost her $750,000. But this is a week where Big D actually has something to do because he is one of the only people that will really, really lay into Tiffany with Xavier. And when Xavier's pissed at Tiffany, it really helps bond Big D to Xavier more so than Kylan. Previously, he had had his crush on Kylan all season long, but now he finally has somebody who is willing to really go in on Tiffany with, and they really bond over their Tiffany hate. She is so selfish. Yes, this is what I've been saying all season long. And he feels like Kylan is not with them as much. Kylan is not giving him the time of day. Kylan is not complaining about Tiffany with him as much. That's not cool. Big D starts to gravitate more toward Xavier. Big D tells Tiffany that he has no plan for the final 6. I haven't even thought about it. I haven't even thought about what I'll do. Tiffany says, this guy thinks I'm an idiot. Alyssa wins the veto. Tiffany has to put Claire on the block, and Big D is very pleased about this. Big D and Ozza get into a fight about who's done more in the game because he keeps telling her that he has dragged her this far and she's done nothing. And she says, that's not really fair. And they get into a fight about it. Big D approaches Kai about feeling like he's been distant lately, and Kai says, "What? No, definitely not. But I'm going to leave now." And Big D says, "Not going to let him play me. I'm going to play him." Claire gets voted out, and we head into week 10. It's a double eviction, baby. Hannah wins the HOH. She nominates Xavier and Alyssa. Xavier wins the veto. Hannah replaces him with Kyland. Alyssa is voted out. We head into week 11, where Kyland wins the HOH. Big D is upset because in the double eviction, he did not get a chance to cast a sympathy vote for Alyssa because he couldn't talk to Hannah. Nobody gave him the time of day in the double eviction to even ask if he could cast a sympathy vote for Alyssa. And now he feels like he's not going to be able to win a jury vote because he doesn't get to cast any of these sympathy votes. Well, Kyland has decided that Tiffany no longer deserves to win the game, and so he forms the gentleman with Xavier, and he nominates Tiffany and Hannah. Big D, he's feeling like, all right, things are working out. I'm heading to my final three with Xavier and Kyland, the one that I created in week 1. Let's go. This is my game. I have been doing this. I have been orchestrating this. Now I just have to make sure that Azah isn't mad at me. How do I do that? Let's remind her, hey, Azah, hey, we've talked about this before, remember? Just so you know, I am taking Xavier to the final 2. I'm going to cut you. And you're okay with that, right? She's like, yeah, I know what I signed up for. It's like, good, so you can't be mad. And I wouldn't be mad if you did the same thing to me because he thinks he would never be in that position. So you can't be mad when I do it to you, he says. Kyland wins the veto. Tiffany lets Big D know in her campaign to him, she says, well, obviously you know that you can't beat Xavier. He says, no, it would be a close vote between me and Xavier. And she says, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be a hard decision at all. I would vote for Xavier. Hannah would vote for Xavier. Claire would vote for Xavier. Derek X would vote for Xavier. Sarah Beth would vote for Xavier. Everyone would vote for Xavier. And he goes, what? And for a moment, he's like, no. And then he talks to Kyle and he's like, nah, no. She's lying. She doesn't know anything. Tiffany doesn't know anything. I'm going to lose to Xavier. Come on. She had me for a second there. Big D lets Azah know that, hey, remember when I told you I'm going to cut you at the final 3? Also, I'm going to have to put you on the block if I win this HOH. Just, again, if I tell you ahead of time, you can't be mad. That's how it works. And Azah's like, I don't know if that is how it works. I'm kind of not happy about that. Why do I need to go on the block? Azah, do you have amnesia? Do you not understand that I have deals with other people? I've told you about these deals. You're just going to have to touch the block, okay? Deal with it. Tiffany is voted out, and we head into week 12, which is another double eviction, baby. Azah wins the HOH. She nominates Hannah and Xavier. Kyland wins the veto. He takes Xavier down, and Azah replaces him with Big D, and he says, I'm fine with that. Hannah's voted out. Then in week 13, Xavier wins the HOH. He nominates Kyland and Azah, leaving Big D off the block. And Big D goes to Azah, and he says, look,
you should never feel dumb or played in any way.
But I am going to vote you out, Azah. She's like, what? It's like, I'm sorry, but I have had a deal with Kyland since week 1. And I have had a deal with Xavier since week 1. And we never made a deal. And I told you these things. You said you wouldn't be mad. So it's just the way it has to be, okay? You know? And she's like, I don't like that. And he's like, Xavier, what is happening with Azah? I told her I'm cutting her, and now she's acting all upset when, like, she knew that this was going to happen. Why is she upset? Now, if she wins the veto, she's going to cut me. What's up with this? Xavier's like, maybe you shouldn't have said anything. It's like, I guess I messed up. I just thought she wanted the truth. You know, I just thought she wanted the truth, but I guess she doesn't want the truth. Then Xavier wins the veto, and he tells Big D that he really thinks that they should not cut Ozza. He thinks that they should cut Kyland. And Big D says, no, I couldn't do that. Not after everything we've been through. And Xavier pushes and pushes, and eventually Big D relents, and he says, okay, wow, this is going to be so hard, but I guess I do have to cut Kyland. And he tells Ozza, he's like, Ozza, I was actually never going to cut you. I was not thinking. It's just so hard, Ozza. It's just so hard. Kyland, he's been there for me this whole time, and we've been working together, and he just deserves to be there so much. He's done so much in this game. It's just really hard to cut him. Do you understand that? This is just such a hard decision. I was like, was it not a hard decision to cut me? But Ozza, like, that was like, we had made deals and stuff, so like, that's a different thing, like, he's like been my best friend. I just feel like it's not fair. It's just not fair to him. He's done so much. She's like, he's a douche. It's like, no, you don't know him like I know him. Like, that's not fair. You don't understand everything that he's done. Like, Ozza, when you watch this back, you're going to understand, because you're going to see that I have done so much in this game. I got Kylan to nominate Tiffany. I got Christian to nominate Whitney. I got Derek X to nominate Sarah Beth. I got I got all these people to do things all these times, and I protected you, and I volunteered for the block, and I got you to stay off the block, and I just dragged you through this game, and I had to deal with your emotional roller coaster, and I kept you sane this whole time, and it's just not fair for me to have to keep you when he's here, and it's just rough. Okay, can you please just not can you sympathize with me here for a second? I'm in a vulnerable position. Okay. Ozza's like, it just kind of hurts my feelings. Oh my God, Ozza. You say you want the real, but then you're like, I don't want the truth. Like, do you want me to lie? Do you want me to Sarah Beth Alyssa you? Is that what you want? If you want me to lie to you, I'll just lie to you. I just feel like I get punished for telling the truth. Okay? He then gets into a bunch of different arguments with Kyland, who gives him the version of him giving it to Ozza, where Kyland is essentially saying that he deserves to be there and that Ozza doesn't, and that he deserves it more than Big D even. Big D hasn't done as much as Kyland, and Big D's like, how dare you say that? They get into arguments about their cooking, his cooking, and all of that. He says that Big D is cocky. Big D says, I'm not cocky. Excuse me. So Big D votes Kyland out of the game. And we head into week 14, where Xavier wins part 1 of the final 3 HOH, and then Big D loses part 2 of the final 3 HOH. And now he is in a spot where he should be guaranteed final 2. Xavier is planning on taking him. Ozza easily wins the game if she takes him. But Ozza is so done with Big D. Big D says, I should have taken Kyland. I knew it. I should have evicted her. How dare she evict me? I knew I should have evicted her. And that's where we are now. That's what we've been listening to in these updates for the last few days, that Ozza is starting to change her mind based on the treatment of Big D. But primarily, the biggest question is, Ozza, the thing that prompted Ozza to change her mind from I'm definitely taking Big D to I'm not taking Big D is that she asked Big D after part 2, if you had won this HOH, Big D, with no deals in play, who would you have taken to the final 2? And he says, Xavier. He just deserves to be there. And I don't. It's not like that, Ozza. I got to stay true to what I've been doing this whole time. So that's it. That's Big D's game. I mean, what more is there to say, that hasn't already been said? There's really nothing. Big D actively tried to do more things than both Ozza and Xavier. But he actively failed at doing pretty much all of them. Anytime he had an idea, anytime he had a plan, anytime he had something that he wanted, he would pitch it to people and they would tell him no. The few times that they just kind of just went, okay, sure, Big D, because what you're wanting is what I already want. He's like, I did that. And sometimes he takes credit for things that he didn't even want, and pretends that he was the one who did it. I mean, listening to Big D explain his game is like it's listening to somebody who like watched a movie and pretended like they were a character in the movie, like doing things like, oh yeah, when I watched Lord of the Rings, there was that one time where I came in on the white horse and I saved the big army. That I remember doing that. That was me. Don't you remember? And then that other time that it was like, no man can kill this one. And it was like, well, I'm not a man. And then boom, that was also me. Oh, and then that one time that they threw the ring, they had to like do the ring in the lava. Yeah, I did that one too. It's he takes credit for things that just happened. They were done either by other people or were decisions made by other people. And Xavier does this too, to a lesser extent. But Big D really takes it to another level. I've never seen somebody. We talk about Raven, we talk about Victoria, we talk about people who have like really thought that they did a lot more than they did. But the thing about Raven and Victoria is that they were both working very closely with the person who was actually doing all of the things. And that's part of why they felt like they were a part of it, right? They were convinced by the person doing all of the things that they were a part of it. Big D doesn't have that. He was never involved in the core of the gameplay ever. He was never kept in the loop. He was never convinced by anybody that he did these things. He just came up with on his own that he did these things. The closest person he was to the core, of course, is Kyland, but Kyland was not discussing like all of the things that he was doing with Big D by any means. And he certainly wasn't trying to convince Big D that he was like a mastermind. Even Kyland, when he was pumping Big D's tires, would just say, you have a great social game. And Big D certainly thinks he has a great social game. But that's that has been Big D's game. And it is one just riddled with him wanting to target women for being women, thinking that the men played better games than the women, talking down to the women, and lots of other things involving women. And weirdly, he says that he fights for the women throughout the season as well. So, there's really not much else to say. There's really no, like, usually this is where I say, like, here's the upside of Big D's game. Here's the part where, like, you could make a case for it, but there is no case for it. There's nothing. And on the day of the finale, that is what I'm going to leave you with for the final live feed update. Is I've just got nothing. But we'll see what happens tonight on the finale. Make sure you tune in for our recap of that. You can also find me on Twitter at twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I'll be watching the episode live with you guys tonight. We'll see what happens with all of it. And you can also find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. And then we'll have some exit interviews as well. We should be talking with Big D and the rest of the final three. at some point later tonight. And then hopefully also with the America's Favorite Player. We'll see how that goes. And we'll have postseason coverage as well. Deep dives with the players, interviews with the players, hopefully, and the postseason roundtable. We'll rate all of the players, all of that. Plenty of stuff there. I've also got a Survivor podcast if you want to check that out. I'll be talking about tonight's Survivor episode tomorrow night with that Kevin Robert Martin from Big Brother Canada. And then The Circle, the finale came out today. We'll be talking about that on Friday. So plenty more coverage heading your way. This doesn't have to be the end of you and me here, but this is the end of the Big Brother 23 live feed update. So another season in the books. Still haven't missed a day. We've still gotten through this. Thank you all who have joined me every single day of this journey. You guys are the best. If you stick with me all the way through, it's always a journey. It's whether the season is terrible or amazing or super boring or always exciting. We always have fun here on the live feed updates, and that's what keeps me going through the season. And you guys keep me going through the season, and I appreciate every single one of you, especially those of you that go out of your way to be kind and positive about everything that we're doing here. And I really appreciate all of the support. So thank you guys one final time here on the live feed update for Big Brother 23, and I will see all of you next season.